robbery. Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Learn nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. Don't make a living break. Confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless lane, walk games, bitch with the chest. Keep beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Quitting was never an option.
We are here on Split Second Broadcasting to bring you the Find Love or Die Trying 200K at Iowa Speedway with the online Speedway Racing League. I'm Elliot Henderson alongside Ross Brockman with Aiden DuPont down on pit road. It's been a wild few weeks here in the OSRL, leading to a three-way open championship battle between Cole Freilich, Kendall Carpenter, and William Schmidt. With the drop weeks and such, Freilich enters tonight with an 18-point lead on Carpenter, with Schmidt just a single point behind Carpenter in third place, with 5 races remaining. Coming into tonight, Ross, we're here at Iowa. What do we think is going to happen between these three, even though, honestly, looking at the starting grid, we've got 2 guys up front who we're kind of used to seeing up there, but our top 3 competitors, what do we think about tonight at Iowa?
I was just gonna say, yeah, none of them. I guess we have Kendall Carpenter is 4th, and Freilich and Schmidt are both in the top 10. But yeah, some of our some fast drivers up near the front. That's gonna mix up our points leaders into the middle of the top 10. So excited to see how they move forward at the start of this race. It's Iowa though. We love Iowa. Iowa's a great racetrack. Lots of choices as far as lanes. You can try to avoid the bumps on the bottom. You can run up higher once you get longer to the run. Looks like in practice a lot of slipping and sliding around. We love that too, and it's also fun to be under the lights. I'm excited to see what happens tonight here at Iowa.
Yeah, a little bit of, short track racing or intermediate speedway racing, whatever you want to call it. Iowa's a little bit of both, considering the speeds here are more intermediate based, but the way you still get into the corner, have to brake and everything, lead you to a little bit of that short track racing, and you can move people out of the way, run a couple different lanes, and we'll be seeing a lot of different things tonight. We'll go down to Aiden DuPont. What are we looking like for fuel runs and potential strategies tonight, AD?
Well, guys, the drivers have told me that the fuel run is about 70 to 75 laps. Of course, Iowa being this intermediate short track combination, and due to being a night race, that might affect the tire strategy, and depending on how bad those tires get, we might see drivers coming down even earlier than that. Iowa is one of my favorite tracks on the entire sim. We'll have to watch the drivers pick lanes throughout the night as the track changes and rubbers up. A lot of beating and banging in this league all throughout the pack, but the OSRL has proven to provide great battles everywhere. Hoping that all these drivers keep it clean. I am going to be listening to the driver radios and watching pit road, see when everybody's pit strategy is looking like tonight.
Appreciate all that, AD. We'll definitely jump down to you if the time comes. Right now you can see drivers going down pit road, double checking their speeds, making sure everything's good there, see where their stalls are. As down along the bottom, you can see Aiden Walker, Joe Armstrong will lead you off down on the bottom for the start of the race. We'll go through the running order real quick here and then set the field and get going.
Yeah, row 2, we have Ryan Vargas, and as we talked about, one of our points battlers, I guess, Kendall Carpenter.
Stephen Gibson and Cole Freilich will be on the next row, 5th and 6th.
The 43 of Bryden Lindauer, and then alongside him in the 79 is William Schmidt.
We've got Henry Calhouf in 9th and Isaac Johnson rolling off 10th.
Starting 11th, the 22 of Justin Knudsen, and the 55 of Brian King will start to his right.
And Jack Painter rolling off 13th. A bit of a slower run for Painter, but we've seen a lot from him at these shorter tracks, and we expect to see him up front towards the end of it. But Nolan Sanford is outside, making a name for himself the last few weeks as well.
Starting 15th is the 30 of Vincent Gucci, and starting 16th, the 31 of Chad Stearns.
John Daniels will roll off 17th, with Chris Pervalarkis just outside in 18th.
Starting 19th is Gavin Newton, and then 20th is the 32 of Noah Carmichael, who will have to actually start from pit road due to a pass penalty.
And with the lights being out and halfway down the backstretch, we'll go through 21st Michael Deitch, 22nd John Malashak, Harry Grindell roll off 23rd, Mo Perry 24th, Levi Wolf 25th, and Braden Movick will roll off 26th, not setting an actual time, but he's been fast recently. Going to be interesting to see how he works his way through the field as pace car will pull off, and we'll have Joe Armstrong to the outside of Aiden Walker. Aiden, I believe, oh, sorry, pace car will not pull off. That's my bad. But Aiden Walker making, I believe, his first start in OSRL action. It'll be interesting to see how he contends with Joe Armstrong, who we've seen kind of pull away from these short tracks recently. Ross, any dark horse picks for you tonight while we get this going?
Yeah, well, you threw in dark horse. I was going to say every time Joe Armstrong shows up, he lights him up here, especially at the shorter track. So this is kind of a mix of a shorter track we kind of talked about, but I think that he's not much of a dark horse. So yeah, I really like watching Steven Gibson. He seems to be like right on the edge of being one of those guys that can run up front every week and always keeps it clean. Great. He's got the great just blank white car. So yeah, maybe somebody go sponsor this guy. But yeah, looking forward to see these guys go after it here right now.
I agree. Gibson had a ton of pace at Bristol. Thought he was going to be able to get up there and shuffle it out, but couldn't catch Armstrong at the end as the green flag comes out. Aiden Walker does not get a good jump. That's about the second week in a row that we've seen something like that, where the leader doesn't really get going. Carpenter is outside. Armstrong's going to take the lead. Carpenter throws it in there, but Armstrong will hang on to the outside lane, take the lead off of turn 2 as they go down the backstretch.
Yeah, great job by everybody on that inside lane, just making sure not to run each other over or cause a problem with the stack up on the start. Side by side for the lead, though.
Carpenter making quick work of this to the outside of Armstrong now, and big junk in turn 1. I believe that's Jack Painter in the 97 and
Jonah Malashak. They're still running into each other. Yeah, it looks obviously everyone close together on the start of the race. Like it looks like maybe one or two had issues and brought a few others with them, just sliding up into the wall in turn 1 and 2. We'll see here.
Yeah, Painter kind of just gets run over by the 31 of Chad Stearns. 49 nowhere to go. That's Jonah Malashek into the back of Painter. I believe that's a 49 of Pervalarkis, and he ends up with about the least damage, but it looked like that was all starting with Stearns and Painter there, unfortunately.
Yeah, it might be one of those moments where you're like, the lead car there in that situation is just maybe giving room to the driver in front of them, just kind of riding, while the one behind is just expecting to drive. You're going to drive deeper into the corner, which happens a lot, and it's frustrating. But yeah, unfortunately, some big damage there for multiple of those drivers. Looks like Painter is towed and probably done for the night.
Yeah, looking from Chad's onboard there, it kind of looked like Chad thought Painter was just going to shoot the middle there. I don't know who was in front of him, but looked like he was going to go to the bottom and have enough space. But I think that's also, we've talked about how fast Painter is, but he has speed at the end of runs because he's very good at saving tires. So I wonder if that's just another one of those situations where, he's not pushing very hard. You're going into the corner for the first time, not really trying to do anything crazy. And Stearns potentially, he's got the rookie stripes on there. He's trying to go forward. He's trying to pass people. And maybe Painter went into the corner a little softer than what Chad Stearns was expecting. You see the result of that.
I imagine most, maybe we can throw to Aiden here, but I imagine obviously just a couple laps in, no tires or anything getting put on these cars, but maybe some drivers fixing some damage down there.
Yeah, we've got 4 guys fixing damage down here. Jack Painter, as we mentioned, who towed. Jonah Malashak repairing a little bit of damage. Christopher Villarock just as well. Chad Stearns. And 3 others came down just for fuel. That's Mo Perry, Brandon Movick, and Levi Wolf.
Appreciate the update, AD. That is frustrating. Painter now the second week in a row that something has just gone completely backwards for him. He was sitting here pretty comfortably 4th in points a couple weeks ago, and all of a sudden he finds himself 6th, teetering on the verge of dropping down towards about 8th or 9th here, especially with how tonight's gone. He's still in a fight to get back to 4th. He was only about 11 points behind coming in here, but definitely another negative race for him after, I believe, Rockingham, he ended up getting wrecked as well. So just a couple tough weeks for 97.
I'm interested to see here now if we get going. Are we going to see the Joe Armstrong that we see so often at these short tracks and potentially dominate this race? It looked like Carpenter had something for him on the first lap or two there, and we had some side by side racing with the 2 of them. So it'll be exciting to see. Our other kind of championship contenders, or at least point leaders, Freilich and Schmidt, both gained a few spots there in just those short laps. Obviously, with the stack up at the start and the opportunity to race side by side, to be able to already pick up three positions each is huge, just to have that early track position.
Yeah, it looked like Aiden just either missed a gear or wasn't in the right gear when he launched, almost like he was in 3rd when he should have been in 2nd, and he just didn't go as hard. Armstrong got away really easy, and Carpenter was able to clear him as well through the middle of the corner. And everybody in that outside lane, like you mentioned, Freilich went from 6th to 3rd, and Schmidt from 8th to 5th. Vargas from 3rd to 6th backwards. Gibson from 5th to 8th. Everybody that was on the bottom lost 3 spots, and everybody that was on the top gained 3 spots. And now we've got Armstrong and Carpenter to lead them down as lights will go off this time, and we'll restack and get ready to go again.
Long when you're early on in the race like this, and not much for pit stops, not much for it makes for a long caution break here. So we had to clean up all the damage from those cars that were wrecked, I guess, in turn 1. But hopefully get this going and get some laps in. I imagine a week off last week that a lot of these drivers are really excited to get going.
Yeah, we've already got Kendall Carpenter asking if we can shorten pace laps. I think they're all pretty eager to get going and get up to speed, and they'll get there momentarily as pace car will pull off. Joe Armstrong brings them down into the restart zone, and he is gone. Carpenter right there with him. Aiden Walker gets a good jump this time, and the field is off into turn 1.
We saw on that first couple laps there when Carpenter was to the outside of Armstrong, now going to be the inside. We'll see what he has for him. It looks like Carpenter going to get the edge here in 3 and 4 and take the lead. Clears up in front of that 22.
Armstrong potentially going to make the crossover happen here as he looks back to the inside. Those two are already starting to distance themselves a little bit as Vargas looks to the inside of Cole Freilich, trying to pick up the spots that he lost earlier. But his battle for the lead rages on. Carpenter holds strong on the outside lane, clears the 22 going into turn 3. It'll cut the nose off as they go into 3 and 4.
Yeah, Armstrong's not letting him get away, kind of looking to the inside again. He kind of did the same thing last lap into 1. It's really hard on the bottom here. Some of the bumps, you see that 22 jumping up and down, kind of gets up the track. Hard to hold down on the bottom.
Yeah, Carpenter somewhat pinching him down, but gave him a lot of space. But to your point, Joe kind of caught the bumps there and drove up into his door. No harm, no foul, though. He got pretty sideways, but kept it going straight. I'm sure Aiden and those guys all looking on like, hope you guys don't wreck right here. We don't need another one. But Joe's been so strong on these short tracks. Not really surprised to see him running up front, although we are kind of surprised to see Kendall. Kendall's kind of struggled on these short tracks this season, and right now, definitely, doing a little bit better than where he's been the last couple weeks. Granted, Bristol, he had a penalty, so this is really a good shot for him to get back in this points battle.
And you talked about it, like it's a short track that thinks it's an intermediate, or maybe vice versa. I don't know. So maybe it's we're colliding the worlds of our OSRL drivers that are good at one or the other. We got some running into each other, some stacking up through 3 and 4 in the back of the pack here, and some opportunity for some drivers to maybe jump 3 or 4 cars and try to get some track position here.
And I said Kendall hasn't really been great on the short tracks. I'm sure he'd like to disagree with me, considering he's the winner of Rockingham, the last track we were at, the last short track we were at. Closest finish of the season, beat William Schmidt by 0.017 in an absolute burner of a race towards the end there. So he's picking up right where he left off, and now I've got Freilich looking to the inside, clearing Joe Armstrong. Looks like Armstrong's kind of in a tire conserve mode, and these other guys are going a little bit harder than what he's interested in. Schmidt back there also kind of taking it easy. He's let a couple of these guys go, like Gibson and Vargas.
Yeah, Freilich was a little just that last restart there that just wasn't, lost a spot or two right away, and now back up to not only back up to third, up to second now. And yeah, just that last lap hit his fastest lap so far of the race. So just finally settling in here, and it looks like he's even closing a little bit on the 20 of Carpenter.
Yeah, I think, being on the inside there, like Freilich and those guys were, it makes it a little bit tougher to get going. And you can just see the uneasiness, especially after the first restart and everything, how these guys are towards the inside. As you see more 3-wide battling going on back here. Just a lot of strong cars, a lot of hard racing. And, trying to get that inside lane to work on these restarts is not easy. But that's why you see Freilich and these guys kind of take a little bit of time and then rework themselves back up towards the front as we go back to this 3-wide battle going on.
Yeah, and the looks like the 70 of Harry Grindell there. He was up on the top, now jumps down to the bottom. He's been moving up pretty well through the pack. You have all these options at Iowa where you can kind of choose different lanes, whichever lanes are moving, and we're seeing not only side-by-side battles, but a lot of 3-wide battles still, even just a couple laps after a restart.
Yeah, that's him and Braden Movick. Braden Movick had a really good run at, pretty sure it was Rockingham, where he ended up, he led a bunch of laps and did really well, but couldn't make the strategy work at the end of the day. Just going back and looking, and it wasn't Rockingham, so I'll have to go back and remind myself which track it was. But Braden Movick obviously started.
Oh, we got a heck of a battle for the lead, and they're running into each other. Wow, Freilich got into Carpenter, and they kind of both slid up the track in 1 and 2.
I don't know that either one of them is going to be happy about that. Obviously, both the points leaders too. Go back and get a replay for you.
Yeah, it looked like Freilich just like we saw him kind of closing, got to the inside, and then through 1 and 2 here. I think he just stayed a little higher than I think Carpenter was expecting him to go. I feel like you almost expect to turn down a little earlier than that, but
yeah, I can't tell if Carpenter kind of came down into him or if Cole was just kind of going into the corner and going to hold him out wide. I mean, it is a strategy here to kind of make sure someone goes out through the corner wider than you on entry and needs to cut it down later. So it's harder to kind of get that run. And I mean, it just looks like an awkward entry from both of them. Carpenter was obviously trying to go through his normal line, and Freilich was trying to kind of send Carpenter out to no man's land and give him the harder way around. And unfortunately, it's going to bite the 20 a lot harder. He's losing position after position here, all the way down to 8th now, under attack from Nolan Sanford and this group that we were just looking at with Braden Movick and Vincent Guessi. I'm going to try to pronounce that name correctly. But yeah, that wall contact's not going to be good, and he's going to have to hit pit road at some point to get that looked at.
I don't know if Aiden was listening to the driver chat. I could tell that I didn't get to hear much of it, but I did tell that there's maybe some questions between the 20 over to the 15 of Freilich. So I don't know, Aiden, did you hear anything? Are we having a little disagreement between the two?
Yeah, just a little bit of a disagreement for how far that put Kendall Carpenter back in the pack. I was surprised he wasn't a little more angry with Freilich. Carpenter just said, "Hey man, you blew the corner." Freilich says, I don't know about that. I think it might have been a little on the both of us. So shirking maybe a little bit of the responsibility, but to us in the booth, looks like just both of them got awkward entries, got loose in. Just a racing incident, I'd say. Back up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who to put blame on there. I mean, Carpenter definitely turned left, but he's trying to get into the corner. And the way to get into the corner is to turn left. So, granted, he nearly did it with him and Movic right there. He's just kind of entering a little more shallow than I think a lot of these other guys would expect him to. It seems like everyone else is trying to arc a little bit, and you can't really do that when there's a car next to you like that. So, yeah. We'll have to see how that goes on and how Kendall's how that damage affects him right now.
You know, and Carpenter hasn't done that bad as far as he kind of got, you know, back going and still the back half of the top 10. Meanwhile, Freilich was still in second, but now has lost a couple spots. So, you know, even though the damage may be a little bit more visible on the 20, it definitely maybe slowed the pace down on the 15 because he's been passed now the last couple laps.
I'll tell you who really likes all of this is the guy sitting in sixth, only 2 spots behind Freilich right there is the 79 of William Schmidt, as these guys are all getting all over each other back here. As Schmidt looks to the inside, and you can see the 30 right there. That's Vincent again, kind of. He came off the corner and started sliding. He was trying to get under Kendall Carpenter, but a lot of the guys right around there just kind of all lost grip, and unfortunately, Vincent Guessi, try to pronounce it, did not get off the corner too well. He'll hit pit road.
See, most of these drivers kind of running the bottom are now second place driver Ryan Vargas was up more towards the wall in 3 and 4. As Carpenter tries to regroup here, gonna look to the inside of Harry Grindell.
Yeah, I think that damage is definitely affecting Kendall a lot more than we initially thought. As soon as Movic got past and they all kind of worked their way around, now that he's behind Grindell, you can see that he does not have the pace that he had before, unfortunately. And Freilich might be suffering a little bit too, but certainly not as bad as where the 20 is going right now.
Yeah, the biggest winner in all this might even be William Schmidt, who is obviously battling Carpenter and Freilich. We talked about at the top of the show in this points battle, and yeah, we've had some moments almost every week where you know, Carpenter and Freilich, you know, when you're front runners, you're racing around each other all the time, and whether you don't agree with each other or have disagreements, if you're William Schmidt, you're probably like, yeah, you guys keep battling and keep getting upset with each other, but. Yeah, the racing throughout the rest of the pack, man, they're all over each other here.
Listen, sometimes the easiest way to win a championship is just not be involved in anything, and sometimes the easiest way to lose a championship is to just battle another guy when there's a third guy that you guys aren't even thinking about in the picture. And that's kind of what's been happening is in certain cases, Kendall's kind of stepped on himself and gotten penalties at tracks like Bristol and can't really come back from it. Freilich's been wrecked a couple different times. And Schmidt, who's on a partial schedule because of these drop weeks, has just kind of found himself in the middle of the points battle now after a couple strong runs and a couple wins on the season. So he's not really played any type of aggression towards anybody. He just kind of run his own races, and now he's right there. And if he can just keep doing what he's doing and knock off top fives, it might work out in his favor.
A lot of these drivers in the back here battling and using that top lane. We just saw the 52 of Nolan Sanford kind of getting the wall a little bit off it too. That's so easy to do here. When you get pointed off the corner, you're trying to race somebody to your inside. Another guy down on the bottom, wrapping the bottom, is the 41 of Mo Perry. Just nice kind of slow, steady drive up to the front, up 10 positions since from the start of the race. Just running the bottom.
I've been watching, and we've been talking about Joe Armstrong being so good at these types of tracks, and he's now had to start looking in his mirror. Ryan Vargas is within a half a second of him and starting to close down on Armstrong, running a lot of different lines, running the top, running the bottom, and Armstrong's kind of had to go up and mimic him and run different lanes as well. You can see from Ryan's onboard just what he's doing compared to what Joe's doing, and every lap, Ryan, except for that one, has been a little bit faster, usually about a tenth quicker than Armstrong. Now Armstrong's kind of started running the middle when he was running the bottom before, And even Gibson's kind of been tracking these guys down ever so slightly. So your top 3 starting to show themselves, while Freilich, Walker, and Schmidt all look for an answer back around 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, I like what the 26 of Vargas is doing, kind of in the, enter the corner kind of middle or high and kind of get it pointed to drive it somewhat straight off the corner. It's probably the easiest way to just make sure that you're not going to, slide off the corner as much. But that seems to be just slowly maybe working his way a little closer to Armstrong.
And speaking of Schmidt, he's cleared himself from Walker and now puts sights on Cole Freilich. He was just looking towards the bottom. Now he's trying to figure something out. As you can see, these guys starting to slide off the exit a little bit. I wonder if those rear tires are just starting to go on a lot of these cars. And it makes you wonder if these guys might do the one-stop strategy. I assume they pretty much could if it ran green all the way through, especially with that yellow right at the beginning. Or if these guys try to split it up and do 2 stops with how quick the pace might be. I don't think fall-off's been a ton compared to where we started. It looks like it's basically about a second and a half. So not a ton of fall-off. It'll be interesting to see how these guys start their strategy as the race gets longer.
Yeah, and with a fuel window that's, potentially 70, 75 laps, you kind of start to think about, cutting that in half. Yeah, that's about, your 143 lap race we have tonight. So obviously we had a caution in there to start, so that, should save them where they can make it on one stop if they choose to. And I think we're already to that point even, so that it's going to make the most sense to do the one stop. You've been out here long enough, so even a couple of these drivers that on that first caution that topped off that have just a little bit extra in the tank is these drivers sliding off of turn 4. Now Carpenter's kind of trying to get away from these guys that have been battling pretty much since the restart. 2 and 3 wide back here, pretty much every lap.
And John Daniels, Nolan Sanford all over Carpenter trying to get around him for that 11 spot. I'll tell you what, though, up front, Vargas ripping the fence on both ends has found his way to Joe Armstrong. Now he kind of settles down and goes down to the middle, but he is the only one that has pace for this 22. And we've again talked about how good Armstrong has been at all these short tracks. It's really, really interesting to see that someone has come here with the pace. Usually it's Gibson. Gibson's sitting 3rd, about a 1.5 seconds off right now, but Vargas still there as a 22 really sideways off of turn 4. Vargas might be the answer to take Joe Armstrong on tonight.
Yeah, and a little bit of gaining. You can see the ground he gains entering the corner, but now Vargas in the wall a little bit. Don't be doing that. But then also like even exiting the corner, he was gaining a little bit. So definitely. Maybe trying to use up his stuff a little bit more just to try to get Armstrong or get a little closer to him. But like I said, I really like him. He's been able to run the bottom a little bit better, or at least Armstrong hasn't tried to run the bottom much. But it's really worked for him.
Now, I was talking about Braden Movick earlier. I still don't remember which track it was that he ran so well at earlier this season, but he has entered the picture back here. About the only other guy running the same lap times as those top 2. He's cleared William Schmidt, who just can't seem to find an answer to get around Freilich after he was eventually clear of Walker. Walker's gone back around him. Movick now finds himself in 6th, trying to track down Walker and Freilich. Walker and Freilich side by side for that 4th spot. But Movick, once again, started dead last on the field, made his way through that wreckage and everything at the beginning, and has slowly made his way almost to the top 5. Now looking about to the inside of Freilich, trying to get up there.
Yeah, it just kind of has been, this group of 3 or 4 cars are kind of back half of the top 5 and, 6th and 7th, basically. Just kind of, we're all kind of, bunched up together. Now he's able to start, picking up one position at a time with them all close together. So, yeah, I think that 42 is pretty strong tonight. It's nice job driving up through the field.
And it was Vegas that he had the off strategy. He ended up leading 47 laps, ended up 12th after starting 3rd. Thought he had the pace there. He won earlier at Dover this season, and unfortunately his 3rd start was earlier at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. Started dead last there, only got up to 16th after being involved in a few different incidents. But he has now cleared Freilich up into the top 5. Freilich gonna let him keep that position. Is now right in front of them. Gibson under attack from Walker. Gibson starting to struggle on this long run. Over 2 seconds behind Joe Armstrong is all this happening.
Yeah, and Aiden Walker, he kind of quietly since the start just been riding, hasn't really been in a lot of battles, but yeah, maybe just kind of saving his stuff, and as you see here, just not giving Gibson any opportunity to get away, or at least filling his mirror right now, and it's working. Gonna try to get a little bit of a better run on the outside off of 3 and 4 and try to get a run here.
Yeah, the battle for the lead is kind of petered out, I'd say. Vargas has basically been stationary back there about 3/4 of a second off of Armstrong as a 93. We talked about just how much these cars are sliding, and Aiden Walker just showed you on edge these guys are. Thankfully, no yellow, but incredibly frustrating for Walker, who's now going to lose all the track position that he had, and to your point, had worked so hard to just kind of maintain there. But you can just see, from that alone, 4th place car getting sideways as we've got someone on pit road here as well. I believe that's Nolan Sanford.
Yeah, this might be a little early, but I think if you're racing these drivers in the back of the pack here, they can't get away from each other. So I guess if you want to come down and get tires and try to utilize them to get away from the other drivers you're racing around when they pit, it may not be a bad idea, but you might need to catch a caution to finish off that type of strategy. As at 42 is still working up, now trying to get into the top 3, running that bottom. Looking pretty good here, trying to get alongside Steven Gibson.
I don't hate the strategy from Sanford. I think if you're going to do a 2-stop strategy, you really need to have ridiculous pace because the fall off just doesn't feel like enough. Granted, I can't do all the math in my head right now, but to pit twice here and try to make up all that ground on track is going to be asking for a lot. But we'll have to see how it all works out. He's only 1 lap down. Him and Noah Carmichael both doing the same thing. Noah was also on pit road. So those 2 guys on the 2-stop strategy for now.
And Movic here is going to try again to get underneath Steven Gibson. And yeah, I think that it's getting to that point. You're just holding on here, trying to hold on to these cars, and it gets to be a lot tougher to pass. I like now the 42's going to try way up on the wall in 1 and 2 to try to get a run down the backstretch here.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom of 3 and 4 really works well as you see him send it in there, and he's going to clear him. The question is, can he maintain that pace on exit? He can very well. Here comes a 27 back to the bottom, though, but if the 42 can kind of maintain and he can't, I was going to say he might just be able to roll the top. He just couldn't quite get in there as much as he wanted to. Now he's just straight up going to go to the bottom and get a big run off the corner. Really interesting lines here by the 42 and the 27. Movic and Gibson trying some different things. Movic might have them cleared, but Gibson going to be able to wrap the top, and you can see just how much Movic's got to move that wheel and try to keep it straight. Unfortunately, can't make the pass there.
Yeah, you get late in the run here, and you need the whole track to kind of make speed. So when he gets to the outside of you there, the 42, it's like you got no opportunity to pull up and stop that run. So it's it's tough to pass one, and that's why I think so many of these drivers, they knew on the restarts to gain some track position then, because as we see, these 4 drivers are all pretty close, but just really tough to get side by side and stay that way.
I think just in Movic's case, though, to go from 26 to 4th here on this run just shows that you have some ridiculous pace under you. So if he can get a yellow and get a reset, he might be someone to contend for, with Joe Armstrong, although we've now seen Armstrong open up a 2-second lead, and he's driving away from this group as well. Gibson and everyone else about 4.5 seconds off of Armstrong already. So Joe Armstrong doing what we're accustomed to him doing every time we come to a track that's under 1.5 miles, and that is driving away from the competition. And unfortunately, we talked about Vargas being a big competitor. He doesn't seem any different now, almost 2.5 seconds off of the 22's pace. We've
seen kind of in some of these races where where somebody is able to kind of get out front and kind of dominate, that it kind of opens up some strategy, and we'll see if hopefully maybe some of these drivers will try to pit early as we get closer to this halfway point of the race, or maybe some will try to run a little bit longer just to do something different, because obviously as you get spread out, it's harder to gain an advantage just on race pace. So we'll see what the strategy brings. But yeah, these four drivers that are all kind of stuck together here from third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. It's interesting to see them kind of use some different lines, but just follow each other down the straightaways.
Yeah, I think if you're in Joe Armstrong's case, you know, you're going to run this about as long as possible because you've got obviously the long run pace and the lead. You're not going to want to accidentally pit early and get caught by a yellow or something. He's now 2.5 seconds up on Vargas, maybe 5 seconds up on Gibson. So we've pretty much seen his strategy week in and week out when he runs these. But you know, would Vargas potentially try and undercut, or Gibson or someone else back here, and just try to maintain that pace? It seems like now that they hit the cliff, everyone's running about 25 flats, 24.9. So it might be something to think about. But I think, you know, in most drivers' minds, they're going to want to run a little bit long and just have the freshest tire possible towards the end of it. But a lot of these guys have started to pit. 18 cars on a lead lap. Sanford, Carmichael, Kling, Newton, Pervalarkis have all hit pit road at one point during this green flag run, all short of that halfway point. So looks like a few guys trying a two-stop strategy as this run goes on.
Yeah, I saw the 55 of Brian Kling. He got his tires about 5 or 6 laps ago, and has been using them just a much faster than these front runners, including Armstrong. Kind of got to the outside of Armstrong and almost got into him a little bit. So that's the other part of this, when you have such different tire speeds and some different strategies. Some of these guys that are pitting, as a leader, it's one thing to catch lap cars and have to put them a lap down, but it's an even bigger task when you have drivers on fresher tires catching you that are you know, mid-pack cars. So it's something to watch here to potentially avoid any issues if you're one of these front runners.
And Carpenter has laid down the gauntlet. He has hit pit road, likely to get a little bit of that damage looked at a minimum. I doubt he's going to sit and repair any of it under green, but the 20 car on pit road. And yeah, to your point, that's something that happened at Rockingham and led to some issues creating cautions. It's just the fact that some guys were so much faster than guys on old tires, and it was leading to guys getting run over in the corner and incidents happening that otherwise likely wouldn't have happened if everyone's on the same tire. So definitely something to pay attention to here as more guys hit pit road. But you can see as we watch, Movic got clear of Gibson and is now trying to set sail a little bit. As just a quick update, Armstrong 3 seconds up, 3.2 seconds up now on Vargas, as Movic nearly 5.5 seconds behind Armstrong, with Gibson and Freilich as your top 5.
As we close in on the halfway point of this race, and kind of if many of these drivers are going to probably split it halfway, we might want to throw it to Aiden here in a moment just to kind of get his thoughts, see what if there's any talk about pit stops. Obviously some of these drivers that have already pitted. Aiden, what you're thinking as far as the best time to pit, and what would you do out there, Mr. Iowa Speedway? Tell us your thoughts.
Well, currently, guys, we only have 7 drivers have come down pit road. The earliest on lap 51 was the 52 of Nolan Siegel. It was 7 laps after that the next 2 came down. Chad Stearns, who is still sitting on pit road, has not got back rolling, and the 55 of Brian Kling. Kendall Carpenter is the guy furthest up in the field who has already pitted. You can see him flying through the field right now. If it were up to me, I'd wait another few laps. This race is, what is it? It is 143 laps long, so we are ready to hit the halfway point in 2 laps or so.
Appreciate that, AD. Yep, we've been watching Sanford pick up some spots. Kling moving forward. Carpenter's now out on those fresh tires as Chad Stearns has exited the race. That now leaves 2 retirees, I believe. Painter's still sitting on pit road. Technically, he is retired as well. So Painter will finish this race in 26th. Vincent Guecki is 25th, and Chad Stearns 24th. Pervalarkis is 2 laps down in 23rd. Give up the grid. I don't know. I think you want to run a little bit longer here, just knowing that if you can run 70 to 75 laps with that yellow, ideally you'd want to run to about lap 75, 76-ish then, right? So that then ideally you can run the other 70 laps without having to deal with anything else. But we'll have to see how they all go. Right now, 73 laps in, nobody on the lead lap still pitting. So Joe Armstrong just driving away.
And he's not being very careful with lappers right now. I mean, it is and isn't. I guess the best thing, and we've seen him this year in this position of leading. And I remember I think it was Bristol 2 or 3 different times, 3 wide through the middle of lap cars. Just I think that's his style. He's aggressive all the time and just continues to just put down fast lap times, and that it works for him. So. Sounds like maybe a few drivers, including our second place driver Vargas, looking to maybe hit pit road. Maybe check with Aiden here and see who else is maybe gonna swing down pit road.
1 lap ago, the 93 of Aiden Walker came down pit road, followed by the 43 of Braden Lindauer. Vargas pit as well. We're hearing that Freilic's on the radio saying he's pitting. The 13 is pitting right now. The 13 being Levi Wolf. Everybody's tank is running empty. We're going to have every single car coming down. Steve Gibson, Freilic's in right now. Steve Gibson missed pit road, actually. Will Schmidt on pit road. Harry Grundell. Everybody's coming down, guys.
And Gibson did just miss pit road. That is big for him. A little bit of a positive for William Schmidt, who will gain a spot out of it, but frustrating for Gibson, who definitely had podium top 3 speed there. So we'll have to see how that ends up working out for him and where he cycles out. Movic and Armstrong still out there, and I think that's your better strategy. I think you want to stay out as long as possible, especially seeing that some of these guys can only do about 75 laps with that yellow. That really only transitions to about 71, 72 laps. So I think the longer you stay out, the better off you are. Armstrong on pit road, Movic on pit road. Movic not on pit road. Sorry, he stayed out right there. I think he was trying to hit pit road. It seemed like he was slowing down enough for it, but yeah, we'll watch Armstrong hit pit road and see how this all cycles through. Just 6 cars on the lead lap currently.
Yeah, I think that was a good call for Armstrong to basically let the other drivers kind of in the top 10 make that pit stop before he made his, because even though he's going to be down on speed a little bit for the first couple laps, that those other drivers had the fresh tires and had that advantage. His lead was so big that it's like you're not going to lose that much, and it just saves you in case you would have gotten a caution. Now Movic is in, and he could go maybe a little bit further just because he did actually top off on that first caution. So I don't blame him. Yeah, I think all these guys kind of made the right call. It looks like Vargas definitely lost a lot of time to our leader, even though he got into pit road a few laps before him.
You just saw a car pitting right there in front of Vargas, who's now in this complete mess. Vargas has lost a ton of time. He may have missed pit road considering Gibson's right there with him, or these tires just mean that much. Movic just now exiting pit road. So this is going to be a massive cycle and a bunch of guys in a bunch of different positions that we weren't quite ready for. But we'll let this all cycle through. As you can see, Gibson and Vargas battling it out with Kendall Carpenter just behind them. Carpenter on much older tires at this point. And we'll see where this all ends up after the cycle here, as you see at 63 on pit road.
Yeah, and we saw just as we jumped to that battle of those drivers kind of all over the place. So one of the things that was going on there was that Mo Perry he's been kind of our last driver to hit pit road, and he's on pit road now, but he was on the old tires while Vargas and those guys were kind of coming back up on track, or at least starting to use up their fresh tires, and just kind of met him at a bad spot. They kind of all went different ways, which was a little wild there for a second. But now Armstrong back out in the lead and back in control of this race.
I believe it all cycled through this time. Armstrong back to the point. Nolan Sanford on those older tires, just edging ahead of Ryan Vargas there, with Carpenter in 4th, Cole Freilich 5th, Brian Kling in 6th, William Schmidt 7th, Braden Movic back in 8th, Bryden Lindauer 9th, and Gavin Newton rounds out your top 10 for now, as you try to watch and see what these fresher tire guys can do on this run.
And we talked about it. Steven Gibson has lost a lap due to kind of his issues there with the pit road. He's just ahead of Vargas here. You can see him just ahead of him here in the camera shot, and he yeah, definitely lost pretty much a full lap to our leaders due to missing pit road there.
Yeah, it just goes to show how difficult, running these races are here in the OSRL. You've got to be on it. And Steven Gibbs going to go from a third-place car to 1 lap down. Luckily, right now, he's the first car a lap down. And I believe with Cal Hoof on fresh tires, he should be able to maintain over Armstrong for the next little bit. But Gibson definitely in an awkward spot trying to maintain his position. Although Armstrong's the next car in front of him, so he can see him. He's just got to maintain that position as the first car lap down and get that free pass.
Just saw Freilich go by Carpenter the first time really that the two points contenders have been side by side since that early kind of tussle they had for the lead. So it looked like maybe Carpenter kind of faked out Freilich, like he was gonna maybe crowd him a little bit, but ultimately Freilich is able to get by on a little bit fresher tires.
I'm really watching Movic here. He's able to really float through the middle of the corner as he catches Kendall Carpenter, passes him for the 5th spot down the backstretch. He set sights on Nolan Sanford in 4th, who's on much older tires, as AD documented earlier, the oldest of the tires out here, which is why he had such a big gap towards these guys up towards the top 5. And he's going to start going backwards, him and Carpenter and Schmidt. Also working his way back up here, up to 7th, trying to make his way back into the top 5. He should do that over Carpenter and over the 52 of Nolan Sanford here shortly.
We saw Isaac Johnson get by 48 of Gavin Newton here. Some of these drivers on just a little bit different tire strategies because some of these drivers that tried it a little bit earlier, 5 to 10 lap older tires, to the drivers with some of the fresher tires here, the 55. Here, Brian Kling, he was one that pitted really early, and now that's what's going to happen. You're going to pay the price here on the long run, of course. But yeah, it's just a matter then is if you do happen to catch a yellow, you're hoping that you catch it sooner rather than later, so that way you kind of don't have to pay that price of having the older tires on this run.
Yeah, and for someone like Nolan Sanford or Harry Grindell, which Grindell kind of went longer there. He wasn't running up towards the top 5, and now he's sitting 7th, talking about Nolan Sanford. So, if he was to catch a lucky caution now, that's a big win for him. That's a lot of spots gained that he wasn't originally in. And you look back towards Aiden Walker, that's someone who was running top 5, had that issue getting off the corner, kind of slid the rear tires, lost all their track position, ended up running about 15th to 20th there. He's sitting up in 12th because of his early pit stop, just trying to maintain track position and gain some spots back. So if he catches a yellow, he's back up inside the top 15 and has a shot at the top 10 versus where he was running back around 20th prior to the pit stop. So interesting strategy calls all around, but Movic has now cleared Freilich. He's up to 3rd. Now looking at Vargas, who is already 4 seconds behind Armstrong. And we'll have to see how this all works out. But I think Movic's probably your number 2 guy here if he can get to Vargas.
Yeah, we see Aiden Walker here was able to get by up into the top 11 or 10 here. I think, yeah, 11th now. Or sorry, 10th. With that the Celsius Peach Vibe car. That's a A+ flavor. I'll just shout out to Celsius with the Peach Vibe. It's a good one. But yeah, at Walker, we saw him do that slide during the middle of that green flag run to be able to kind of bounce back here after the pit stop and still be 10th. Is at least a nice consolation for having to spin to be able to still battle here for a top 10 spot tonight.
Yeah, and someone else I want to shout out, Brian Lindauer has done a really good job tonight. Comes in here 9th in the points and has just quietly had a really good last few weeks. And following that up, started 7th tonight, running 6th. Probably has the pace to potentially go and get a top 5 from Schmidt or Freilich, depending on how these tires all work themselves out. But he's running about the same lap times, if not a little bit faster every so often. So we'll have to see how that works out. Just got around Carpenter for that 6th spot.
And you see the 41 here of Mo Perry looking to the inside of the 02 of John Daniels. So, Mo Perry, he was that last driver to pit there, kind of. So he's got the freshest tires here of any of these drivers. So he's gonna feel the most confident passing these drivers, but just got a lot of work to do, being all the way back 15th now. Picked up 2 spots there, up to 13th.
And Vargas already nearly 5 seconds behind. Joe Armstrong just setting a blistering pace. Steven Gibson trying to keep up and stay that first car a lap down and get that free pass if it all works itself out that way. And Braden Movic is catching Vargas at 10ths a lap. Currently sits about less than 2 seconds behind Vargas and is trying to get up to that second spot with Freilich in tow.
Yeah, you said it with Braden Movic here. If he had the opportunity to have some track position earlier on in this race, I think he definitely would have had a chance to maybe win this race tonight. Just a really great pace, and though he's 6 seconds back of Joe Armstrong here, I think that's just because he'd spent most of that first run driving through the field and working over drivers as he was passing them. So I think definitely has similar pace to the 22 of Armstrong, and if we get a caution, he maybe has a chance here to contend with him. But I definitely think he's going to get Vargas before the end of this race if it stays green, and at least end up second here if it all works out.
We haven't really talked about Kendall Carpenter since the damage has happened. How he fell outside the top 10 at one point, was as low as nearly 13th, and he's kind of settled off into 9th. I thought I just heard some contact. I had to pause for a second, but he's settled off in about 9th, potentially 10th. Aiden might have a chance to catch him. He's been running a little bit faster, nearly a half second faster the last time by. So, but a top 10 for Carpenter after the way that this race kind of unfolded earlier in that first run would, I'd say, be a pretty big win for him and keep him in it points-wise, and he wouldn't lose too much out of it with Freilich and Schmidt running 4th and 5th. So we'll have to see how that unfolds for him. But right now, I think he's still kind of waiting, hoping he can get a caution, come down, repair it, restart about 14th, and get back at it.
Yeah, maybe a few drivers that are on that 2-stop strategy pitting here, Aiden. Do you got a report on a few of these drivers that are stopping here just around lap 100?
Well, Brian Kling, as we saw pit just now, he pitted around lap 58, so it's right around the cusp of him making it to the end or not. I'm going to say that he is running a little low on fuel. You see him rejoin the track right there. Yeah, I'd say he's on the 2-stop strategy, just like Nolan Sanford, who pitted 7 laps earlier than Stearns and Kling.
And Pervalarkis actually just left the session. I thought he was another one that was on that strategy, but
you mentioned Elliot the sound of some crunching. I think or some kind of crashing of some kind. I think he maybe got a little bit of damage because I saw that he maybe off in one of our camera shots was pulling off the track, or at least down on the apron, like maybe he had some damage or something. And then next thing you know, I saw he was on pit road for more than a minute or so. So definitely had something go wrong there to end his night.
I believe it was Pervalarkis, and then Gavin Newton also hit pit road. So I don't know, a couple of these guys trying some different things, it seems like. I'm not really sure what the strategies are at this point, but yeah, Pervalarkis definitely. I just went back and looked, and he had some type of issue that required him to tow and get off the track.
Just hear Brian Vargas jump on the radio and say that it's raining on the backstretch. I guess any opportunity to try to slow down that 22 of Armstrong, these drivers are gonna hope for. I guess virtual rain. I don't know if that's possible, but I guess Ryan Vargas is reporting that.
I think for Vargas too, he's looking in the mirror as Carpenter's going to hit pit road. That's an interesting call from someone that's 3rd in points. I kind of expected it because he had pit so early before, but I thought for sure he'd kind of run this one out a little bit longer. But he must think that a 2-stopper is his move tonight. But back to Vargas, I think he's also worried about his mirror because that 42 is coming less than a half second behind him now and trying to take him down for that second spot.
Yeah, I think the battle for second here is gonna as Vargas gets in the wall just a little bit off the turn 4 down the front stretch. I think this battle here is gonna be a battle here in another lap or so. And otherwise, I think the key now will be, can Joe Armstrong navigate a lot of lap traffic? He's got a lot of lap traffic that's coming up in front of him, and as you see, our second and third place drivers even have some lappers in front of them, including the 21 of Gibson after that mistake. So it's just a matter of just staying clean now for our leaders if they want to finish up where they're currently running.
Yeah, and the scary part here for Kendall Carpenter is, as we watch this battle for second, Carpenter's 2 laps down in 19th with this strategy. And the biggest thing is going to be getting around Armstrong. But again, Armstrong's pace is so insane. He's still not even a second slower than Carpenter a lap. So Carpenter will definitely unlap himself once. But the question is, can he genuinely get all the way around with closing in on 30 to go and get back on the lead lap here? Not that the lead lap really matters, but you got to wonder if he's putting himself in a bit of a hole here, being a lap down or 2 laps down at this point.
See Movic here looking to kind of just run a little bit higher than Vargas, going to get a little bit of a run here. We'll see if Gibson plays a factor into this. He pitted about similar time as these drivers, but obviously being a lap off of these drivers as far as a lap down. We'll see if he gives them room or if he tries to stand his ground here as Vargas looks to the inside.
I think Gibson, knowing his pace, was also driving really hard at the beginning of his run, may have run through his tires a little bit more. Looks like he conceded to Vargas a little bit, and he's going to lift just enough to let Movic kind of clear and get by here and not really put up a fight. Movic trying to look to the inside of Vargas coming off 4, not going to quite get there, as you see Gibson actually sliding a lot on exit and just, again, kind of went through those tires a little bit more. And Movic going to look to the top. He's been really good at choosing different lanes and kind of getting big runs and making it work to his advantage. Not really enough there to do anything going into 3, although he looked like he might have tried it, but he's going to keep running the top here, as I believe that is Gavin Newton behind him on fresher tires, starting to close in on these guys.
Yeah, I thought when we got back going there, Braden Movic was 3 or 4 positions behind where he was originally running, and I just thought that it's going to take a lot of work to get caught back up, just because he pitted 3 or 4 laps later than all these other drivers that were up in the top 5, and I just thought it was going to take a very long time, but he's really done it pretty efficiently and pretty quickly. I thought I was thinking he'll get back maybe to second and be able to get to second place by lap 140 with just a couple laps to go, but here he is on lap 115 already doing it. So
yeah, to your point earlier, it definitely makes you wonder if he didn't mess up qualifying or if he didn't start at the back on purpose, whatever he was doing there, because his lap time is very slow. I don't know if it was a purposeful thing, but if he just started up towards the front, how much of a challenge could he have been to Armstrong? His pace doesn't really match Armstrong's, but again, he's had to race people every single run tonight. He hasn't just been able to sit there, run second, and just kind of save and watch the 22 in front of him. So it's a completely different story when you're having to race people for position all night long like this. And, he's still got the pace. He's just not quite as fast as the 22. I don't think anyone is matching Joe Armstrong tonight.
I thought he would potentially make this battle for second, not last very long, just because he kind of chased down the 26 of Vargas. But Vargas has done a really good job of just holding this here, and pretty much running the same line, while the 42 is kind of, sometimes he goes a little bit higher into the corner, sometimes he's going a little lower, just trying to find the best way to maybe try to find an advantage.
Well, that was definitely where Vargas ran super well at in the first run with Armstrong. Remember, he kind of caught onto him and was closing in on him pretty quickly there just by running different lines, running the top, running the bottom, running all over. but it really ate up his tires, and by the end of the run, he was one of the slower cars on track. He just kind of had the advantage of driving away from the whole group with Muvik, Freilich, Schmidt, and everyone else that was battling. So I'm interested as he catches the wall again, Vargas kind of all over using the track. If that kind of happens here with about 20-ish to go, if the 26 starts to fall off heavy again, or if he kind of learned his lesson and can maintain this time and hold off Muvik.
Meanwhile, the 22 was able to, or Armstrong was able to put another driver a lap down. So Gibson is now not in that free pass spot if a caution comes out. But meanwhile, in the middle of the pack, we still have some great battles here. The 93 and the 22. We see the 41 and Mo Perry's got the freshest tires in this pack right here. He's going to jump to the bottom and take them 3 wide and try to get them both.
Yeah, we're talking about Aiden Walker and Harry Grindel earlier, guys that, were running outside the top 10 and trying a different strategy. Grindel ran really long. Aiden not pitted kind of early there, having his issues earlier on. He's down to 8th, Grindel up to 7th, so all 3 of these guys now running 7th, 8th, and 9th, and you can see the different strategies all kind of coming into play and working out, or not working out in some cases. But for all 3 of these guys, I'd say it's definitely a success. Grindel from 23rd to 7th tonight. Mo Perry from 24th to 9th. Aiden Walker obviously started on pole, unfortunately down to 8th, but for the issue that he had earlier and how he slid off of the corner, dropping all the way down to about 15th to 20th, being up inside the top 10, I'm sure is a delight for him right now.
This group of cars here, though, man, wow, we got this, they're bouncing off the wall a little bit. They're just all over each other here. If we're going to get a caution, this might be your best opportunity to see something happen here. Is Kendall Carpenter now with the freshest tires in the group passes Mo Perry, and then Mo Perry's got a little bit fresher tires than everybody else. So it's kind of everybody kind of coming together here at the same time.
And that's Levi Wolf trying to hang on there. That's actually 4th position for Kendall. So Kendall moves up to 15th with that pass, and now he's looking towards Steven Gibson, who I don't think is too far up the road. He's now in 3 and 4. Carpenter in the middle of the backstretch going into 3 now. So Carpenter with a genuine chance at about 13th or 14th here, although it's still going to take a lot of effort here with about 20 laps to go.
And this group here is truly not that far ahead of our leader, Joe Armstrong. So, if I was Armstrong, I'm the type of guy that'd be like, okay, I have a big lead. I don't even want to get into this mess, but that's not how he races. We've seen him many times this year while leading and have a big lead. He just keeps, putting down fast laps. So I think he's going to catch these guys before the end of the race, and we'll see if he can navigate this.
Yeah, and I think that just comes from the fact that he's not running full-time. He's here on a partial schedule. He's really just a short-track ace, and he just wants to run these short tracks and win with the biggest advantage, the most laps led, and just kind of dominate these. And, he's done it in the past, and he's trying to do it again tonight. And to your point, yeah, I don't expect him to go slow around these guys. I think his entire goal is to put as many cars in between him and Vargas for, pit road entry and any type of advantage he can gain. He's going to try to do that. And with so few laps left, why not? Why not give yourself the best advantage possible? But you got to wonder, if you can do it this well on speed, do you really need to be that aggressive? But Joe Armstrong has shown countless times that, yes, he wants to be that aggressive, and yes, it works for him. So, why change what works? And we'll have to see how he migrates through these guys, because he is closing about a 10th or 2 a lap on everybody in front of him.
Meanwhile, our battle for second really never became a battle, as Muvik has kind of still been stuck behind the 26 of Vargas. So even kind of losing some ground here, it looks like, to Vargas. You mentioned that definitely Vargas's middle of the run pace has been the best tonight. To be able to just kind of, the first part of the run, it seems like a lot of the drivers are maybe a 10th or 2 faster. Then in the middle of the run, he kind of would pull back away, but then late in the run, kind of back off. So we'll see if the 42 has another shot at Vargas before the end of this.
Gibbs is going to throw up the white flag and hit pit road here. Not really sure the reason for that. I'm wondering if maybe he just ran his ran his tires a little too hard or had a little bit of an issue, but he is actually out for the night. Complete white flag. I thought he was getting pit road here in the first set, but he is done for the evening. To your point, yeah, I don't know if maybe Mulvick kind of drove the wheels off it at the beginning of this run, and that's really affected him. With the fact that he had to deal with traffic at the beginning of the run last time, maybe he couldn't drive as hard as he wanted, and coming off pit road and having fresh tires and a clean track in front of him this time, he may have overdriven it a little bit more than what he wanted, but he's fallen about a second off of Vargas, and the last couple times panned over to him, he's been sliding the rear tires about as bad as anyone else we've seen, so may have just overdone it, and he's just going to, lay back and preserve his third place finish. Still, obviously, an incredible run from 26th to 3rd, so we'll have to see how that all works out for him, but he still holds about 4 seconds from the Fralick in 4th.
Nice battle for 8th here between Mo Perry and Harry Grindell. I think Perry's going to have be able to run that bottom with those just a couple lap fresher tires than Grindell, and able to get that spot. I think the show here now is going to be just Armstrong trying to get through this lap traffic before the end of this race here, as he's not only lap traffic that he's got to, that are lappers that are maybe a couple laps down, but even the back half of the top 10 here.
Yeah,
he's
afraid
to go middle 3 wide if he needs to.
No, and he's clicking them off pretty well here. He's got about 11 left on the lead lap and trying to make that less than 10 as he closes in on Justin Knudsen here with Levi Wolf to his outside, and less than 10 laps to go, and that's his MO. He just wants to lap everybody in front of him.
Yeah, thinking about I think if there was an opportunity to go 3 wide middle, he'd do it. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding the spot. He's going to try to look 3 wide on the bottom. It's not. I don't think he's going to be clear. Oh, maybe he is. Looks like the 32
Carmichael.
Gave him a break.
Heads up racing by Noah Carmichael to kind of lift and let Joe kind of go there and get going. Although Noah's racing, I believe that's 4th position with Levi Wolf. So it's actually not. Noah is unfortunately 3 laps down at the current moment. So yeah, smooth. Good idea for the 32, just kind of lift and let Joe keep going, as Joe now sets sights on Knudsen.
Carmichael, we talked about at the start of the race, had to serve a penalty on the start. Started 2 laps down as due to incidents in a previous race. So he caught that caution early to get the first lap back, which was a great benefit, but then needed another caution to get another lap back, and he just never got it. So I think the 32 of Carmichael's just been in a hole pretty much the whole night, just hoping for another yellow and just never got it.
And Braden Mulvick has had a lot of issue back here with John Daniels trying to get through lap traffic. So his battle with Brian Vargas is really kind of died off, and unless he's got something left in the tank here in these last 5 or so laps, I believe that run for second is pretty much tied up, and the next best battle is probably between Lindauer, Walker here for the 6th spot.
Yeah, I wonder what some of these drivers think when Armstrong shows up to run these short tracks. I mean, tonight I thought that we talked about our championship contenders between Fralick and Carpenter. We saw them battling for the lead pretty early on. I just felt like there was going to be some opportunity for these guys to be able to give Armstrong a run, but then getting into each other, having some issues. We saw the problems with entry, pit road entry, some lack of track position for some of these drivers. Basically, if anybody has any disadvantage, that gives Armstrong his best opportunity, and he proved it tonight to be able to get this lead and build a lead as he always does at these short tracks. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely no slouch. He's going to try to make it 10 guys on the lead lap. Knudsen just ahead of him, coming around to take the white flag here, as you can see his pace off into turn 3 compared to what Knudsen can do there. But Joe Armstrong going to take the white flag right here, sliding off of turn 4.
I believe it'll be his 3rd win of the season if able to bring it home on the final lap. The 22 of Knutsen's probably like, just let me finish this off here. Don't pass me. It looks like Armstrong's going to slow down a little bit and give him maybe give a couple of drivers a lap back.
Yeah, I'm not really sure the point, but Joe Armstrong going to win here at Iowa under a little bit of a potentially running out of fuel situation. I don't believe that's really the case, but gave up 5 seconds there on the last lap. But regardless, Joe Armstrong gets it done about 4.5 seconds up on Ryan Vargas, who holds off Braden Lovick, who is closing in really hard for second. Cole Freilich will end up in fourth. Aiden Walker drives all the way back up to fifth, and it was William Schmidt who lost a couple spots, went from fifth to seventh on the last lap. Looked like he had a top 5 wrapped up, but unfortunately, going off into 1 and 2, he was set 3 wide, and Aiden Walker and Bryden Lindauer split him and just drove around him going off into turn 3, put Schmidt back to 7th.
Yeah, we saw Movic go up there and give a congratulations bump to Joe Armstrong, getting another win here, and yeah, had some opportunities to practice these donuts a few times this season. Here's another opportunity to do the same.
Joe Armstrong with a 75% win rate on the season, 3 wins in 4 starts. And then obviously your second place finish at Vegas just a few weeks back.
Well, as Joe's celebrating, Elliot, you want me to maybe chat with our second place runner, Ryan Vargas?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get these interviews started.
Bring him in. Ryan, you came home second tonight. It looked like a few times there, maybe you were able to close up on Armstrong early on in that first run, but talk about what else you needed to maybe give Joe a battle there towards the end.
No, you know what? No, I want to go to the tech shed, right? I want to go to the tech shed. I want to find the head tech official, and I want him to look underneath the dash on that machine there, because the traction control, whatever it was, that was unacceptable. I'm kidding. No, Joe was in a different league. I had nothing for him. However, it felt good to bring our Lurgus security machine home in the top 3. Just really cool. I mean, it's a pleasure to run this league. I was kind of a last-second decision to hop in the race tonight. So really, really cool. Like I said, to just kind of put Lurgus security up front and, you know, hop in the league. Always a good time racing with these guys, and kind of it's fun to have a race play out like that where it goes green like that. But no, Joe was just in a different league there, and that final run, I feel like I just saved enough tire to where I was able to held off Braden.
Yeah, I was gonna say the battle there. We thought that Braden was gonna maybe have an opportunity to battle with you, but you did a great job of just holding them off. What gives the opportunity at a track like Iowa with multiple lanes to be able to hold off a guy that maybe is a little bit faster than you, but able to still do it?
Well, I knew Braden pitted I'd say about 4 or 5 laps after I did. So I knew he had a tire advantage, but when I saw that he was closing the gap pretty rapidly at the beginning of that run there, I knew he was definitely angering his tires. I found that when I pitted there, I was kind of in the middle of those who were in like the Discord channel there. When we were talking about tire wear, I found that I was in the middle there. So I knew I did okay on tire conservation, but once I kind of found myself in second place there, once everything got cycled out, I just really focused on keeping the tires under me while also being able to maintain momentum. And once Braden caught me, that's when I was able to kind of go a little bit on the defense, but I wasn't really having to push too much harder. All I did was really just alternate my lines. So, no, it was just a really good battle there. Braden, you know, obviously he's a really fast driver, so cool to hold him off. Cool to come home here tonight in P2, so I'll take it.
Well, to wrap up our conversation, do you have anyone to thank, some shout outs before we let you go?
Heck yeah, no, really just all the people on that race car. My buddy Davin at Drive Through, he designed this amazing Lyrgus security machine. Always a pleasure to represent the Lyrgus security colors there, as well as Williamsburg Contracting there on the C post there. So just a lot of cool partners that kind of help out and jump on board, both in the real life, and it's always a pleasure to bring them onto the sim here.
Well, we appreciate you chatting with us, and thanks for running tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
All right, I was Ryan Vargas, second place finisher. We'll bring in Braden Movick, finished third tonight. Stellar run. Braden, from 26 to third, I want to hear from your perspective how that feels. Honestly, just walk us through kind of your strategy tonight with that run.
All right, yeah. So my strategy tonight, I did this thing a long time ago in about season 3 or 4 called the new track record, where I would run the slowest qualifying lap possible and just see how far I could get up the field. I mean, I finished 6th in points my rookie year doing that, which was crazy. But yeah, my qualifying time was officially a 3-minute 58. Again, new track record. And yeah, I knew I probably wasn't going to win. I knew Joe was going to be nearly unbeatable here if I didn't out-qualify him. Lo and behold, he gets pole. But yeah, so I was just like, why not just make it a last first challenge, see what I can do, put my racecraft to the test, and on a track that's notoriously very difficult to pass at if you're not on someone's outside. So yeah, pretty much just that. Just tried to pick them off one by one on the bottom, and had to take a few on the top. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward night.
Well, I'd say your sessions kind of went back and forth there from second in practice to last in qualifying to third in the race. Do you think there was anything that you could have done with Vargas there? Obviously, you had a lot of pace. You caught him very quickly, but you couldn't quite get around him. Was there anything you could have done different to get around him there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I caught him, at the pace I was going, it would I was driving like I was going to catch him with less than 10 laps left, and then once I caught him, I looked down at how many laps were left, and there was like 30. So I was like, "Oh crap! I used my stuff. I used up my stuff pretty well and hard to get up to him." But yeah, I could get under him a few times, but yeah, he was just running a line, really late entry. He'd cut down about a lane and a half, 2 lanes in 1 and 2, and it would be just enough to cover me off, really. But every time I would get to his inside, he would come down maybe like just 4 to 6 inches, and put my left front on a seam, and that would just get me really loose on the exit of the corner. So he did a really good job in defending me for the last 30 laps of the race. But yeah, other than that, it was a really fun battle and a pretty fun race.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun watching you cut up through the field, especially racing Stephen Gibson there for about the 3rd or 4th spot in that first run. Anyone you want to thank for tonight's awesome performance?
Gotta thank y'all for putting on the broadcast. Gotta thank the admins for doing all that they have to do for the league. I gotta thank Tyler Tinsley, Tin Canson Racing Designs, for this beautiful paint scheme. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, Braden, it was a stellar run. Really impressive to watch. Looking forward to hopefully talking to you next week. Have a good night.
All right, yeah, thank y'all. You too.
That was your 3rd place finisher, Braden Movick. Now we'll bring in your winner, Joe Armstrong. Joe, I think we've watched you do this about 3 times this season now. Nothing any different from any other race you've been here for. Do you want to talk us through how you saved Ty or anything, or do you want to keep that a secret and just tell us how good you did tonight?
I don't know really how I did it. The first few laps of the race, I was kind of struggling, to be honest. Like, Kendall got around me, Cole got around me, and then they did whatever they did, kind of took each other out. Or Cole kind of took Kendall out. And then Ryan was giving me a challenge, but I wasn't really trying to go hard, but I don't really know how to necessarily like save in this car at this track at least. And I remember I ran a race a couple weeks ago with a couple pro guys, and they were running this really unorthodox line, and it was working, and they were driving away and keeping lap time, and so I just kind of applied that once I felt like it was time to do so, and then never stopped doing it to the end. And it got me to a 10-second gap coming to the white. So I don't know. That was really all it was to it. It wasn't anything really special that I was doing besides the line that I was running.
Yeah, I'd say it was one of the more impressive runs this season, but we've seen you do this time and time again, so I think it's just kind of expected from you. But any thoughts on the upcoming races? I think the last time we talked to you, you said you weren't going to be here for all of them, so obviously there's still 4 more races on the schedule here with Watkins Glen, Atlanta, Lucas Oil, and Auto Club. I assume we'll see you back for Lucas Oil because you got to keep this going of the short track wins.
Yeah, I should more than I'll probably just run out the rest of the schedule outside of Atlanta, because I'll be doing something that week. But you'll probably see me back next week, and IRP obviously, and then Auto Club. My goal, I don't think it's attainable, to be honest, is to finish top 3 in points. But I don't know. I feel like if I run out the next 4 or 4 of the next 5 or whatever it is, and keep pace of where I'm at right now, it should be possible. But I don't know. It's a lot of races left, a lot of racing left, so anything can happen. But y'all haven't seen me on road courses, and I feel like I have a chance to win again next week in dominating faction as well. But only time will tell on that one.
Yeah, there's definitely some road course aces here, so we'll look forward to that. Hopefully, see you up front, potentially get you in for another interview. But yeah, looking forward to what you do the rest of the season and keep this streak going. Anyone you want to thank for tonight?
Once again, shout out to you guys for broadcasting. Shout out to Jonathan Oates and all the admins in this league. Shout out to SimSeats. I didn't get an interview a couple weeks ago for Vegas, and that was really frustrating because I felt like I had the car to beat and just kind of threw it away before I even crossed the start-finish line to start the race. So this is kind of like my get back for that one. But other than that, no, I don't have anything else to say. And y'all have a blessed night, blessed week, and hope to see you guys again next Thursday.
Sounds good, Joe. You as well.
All right, thank you.
Joe Armstrong, revenge is sweet. He talked about Vegas where he ended up second. That's his worst finish on the season, Ross. After 4 races now, he is 3 for 4 with a second place finish to boot. And he gets it done here tonight in Iowa. Any final thoughts?
No, that's an impressive stat to be able to basically have a worse finish of second. I guess in a league that has a drop week, then does that mean he's undefeated? I don't know. But yeah, it's that's impressive. The other impressive thing we just learned is the new track record for qualifying. I thought that was pretty funny of Movic. I might have to try that one sometime to have the slowest qualifying lap and then drive all the way up to 3rd. But yeah, we can go through the race results.
Yeah, I think realistically that's the opposite track record, but we'll stick with it because it's funny and it showed for a great race. But back to it, Joe Armstrong gets it done tonight. 3rd win on the season. And to your point, yeah, I mean, with drop weeks, technically that hurts him a lot more than anybody else, being that he loses out on all the points from his second place finish. So we'll have to see. He said he wants to go for 3rd in points. That's about 100 points away, 25 points a race, if my calculations are right. So we'll have to see what he can keep doing there, but he'll need to keep winning to get up there. Ryan Vargas gave him a shot, but will end up 2nd. Braden Movic, obviously we talked about his stellar run from dead last on the field with a 3-minute and 58 qualifying lap to finish 3rd. Cole Freilich, your points leader, will round out 4th. Aiden Walker drives all the way back up to 5th, showing his pace after his mistake early on in the race. Brian Lindauer finishes 6th after just a solid top 10 run. William Schmidt dropped to 7th towards the end there, but ran around the top 5 all night long. Mo Perry from 24th to 8th. Harry Grindell right there with him from 23rd to 9th. Great run for both of those guys. And Henry Calhoun will round out your top 10.
Yeah, and our 11th place finisher tonight was Justin Knudsen, 12th Isaac Johnson, 13th the 02 of John Daniels, 14th Kendall Carpenter. We saw him kind of abort the strategy after getting some damage to pit a second time. Was able to get back to 14th, 15th the 13 of Levi Wolf, the 52 of Nolan Sanford. Brian Kling finishes 17th, Gavin Newton 18th. Noah Carmichael 19th, and Jonah Malashek rounds out our top 20. '21st, we had we got here Michael Deitch, the 20 and 22nd, the 21 of Stephen Gibson, the 23rd of Chris Pervalarkis, the 97 of Jack Painter, the 31 of Chad Stearns, and Vincent Gucci finishes 26th. Our full field. Got you, Elliot?
That'll round out your rest of your field. I believe I was on mute that last time, so appreciate you getting back through that, Brockman. And from everyone here at Split Second Broadcasting and the OSRL, with Jeff Johnson working the controls, myself, Elliot Henderson, and Ross Brockman in the booth, and Aiden DuPont down on pit road, we bid you goodnight from Iowa Speedway and the OSRL, and we'll see you next week where we head off to Watkins Glen, New York for the remainder of the schedule.
Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Learn nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. Don't make a living break. Confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless, lane walk games, bitch with the chest. Beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only deflection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Quitting was never an option.